And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Split Second Broadcasting Network. Tonight, we are at the Kansas Speedway for Race 2 of the Great Lakes Racing Truck Series. My name is Jonathan Oates, and joining me tonight in the broadcast booth is Adam Bossi, and down on pit road is pit reporter Jeff Johnson. We are here tonight for the Kansas 188. That's 125 laps around this 1.5 mile D-shaped oval. Tonight's race is sure to be an interesting one. Kansas, a very high-speed, multi-groove racetrack, also a very smooth racetrack. I think tire wear might be on the back of the minds of a lot of these drivers because really this track doesn't wear out tires that much. It's going to be high-speed, high-intensity, from flag to flag, all night. I'm certainly looking forward to this. Adam Bossi, what do you think we're going to see out of this race tonight?
The best part about Kansas is the multi-groove racing. So early in this run, you're going to see guys hanging around on the bottom lane, probably trying to save a little bit of that tire, but then they're going to all slowly migrate around the track. You're going to see guys up against the fence, down along the bottom of the racetrack, and somewhere right in between as well. So be prepared for a lot of action all night tonight.
Absolutely. I think as different grooves heat up and cool down, it's going to be crucial that these drivers are flexible and able to move around, find a line that works for them, especially with some of the dirty air that comes into play with these trucks. Cars are rolling now on track. Let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup for tonight's race. Row number 1, it is Christian Peterson for Altus Esports on pole, making his first start of the season, and alongside last week's winner, the number 8 of Terrell Baker.
In row number 2, we have Ashton Lawson starting in the third spot, and then Matthew Weeks lined up in the fourth.
Row number 3, Jared Duda starts to the inside of Jim Duda, both of them in Toyota Tundras.
In row 4, Hunter Matalunas and Will Barbagaletta are starting 7th and 8th.
And coming up in row number 5, the number 24 Taco Bell Silverado of Tyler Monge to the inside of the NOS Energy 41 of Nathan Jump.
And then in 11th, we have Zach Henry, Cody Miller right next to him in the 12th spot tonight.
Starting 13th, the number 37 Elliot Henderson Design.com number 37. It is Elliot Henderson to the inside of the number 10 truck, Hunter Brittle.
Behind them, Michael Senzi and Kevin Walter make up spots 15 and 16.
And starting in 17th, it's the number 40 of Nicholas Caressel to the inside of Matt Durr.
And then the number 1 truck starting in 19th there with that beautiful Casey's paint scheme. That's Jared Darling. And then in 20th, we'll have Shane Neiswanger.
Starting behind them, the number 98 of Robin Durr to the inside of Jackson Sims. Adam, I'm just going to quickly go through the rest of the field here as we're coming to the green. Matthew Rodriguez starts 23rd, Matt Daniels 24th, Chris Heller 25th, and Dylan Poteet in 26th. 27th, Eric Kemp, followed by Mike McConville, Gavin Fitzgerald, Nick Hansen, Austin Moore, Sam Hoff, Lewis Woodall, Rod Fasnaugh, Alex Fetter, Adam Zorn, James Shiflett, Blair Neobone, Brett Kinkan, Aspen Martin, Spencer Owens, Aiden DuPont, and Preston Henry rounds out the field. We are coming to the green flag. Off turn number 4, the pace truck is down pit road, and Christian Peterson is going to lead us to green. We're underway from Kansas. Lap 1 complete. Christian Peterson brings them back to the line as your race leader. Terrell Baker close behind to give Peterson a shove into turn number 1. Both of those two opting to go to the high side. Matthew Weeks to the bottom, already seeing a couple of drivers starting to fan out off turn 2 down the back for the second time tonight. We are side by side for second. Here comes the 56 of Matthew Weeks.
Look at these guys fan out as they go off into the turn. Couple guys up by the wall, couple guys down by the paint. We are in for an action-packed night if racing keeps up like this all the way around this 1.5 mile speedway.
Absolutely. There's a lot of ways to get around this place. Actually, not only one of them is going to be correct. I think it's really going to come down to how these guys approach each
Oh, Reckon going in one! lots of cars, 4, 5, 6 of them all piling into turn 1 there.
Big crash in 1 and 2. Gavin Fitzgerald among the drivers affected, among many others, as our first caution of the night comes out. Sam Hoff missing a left front fender. Big crash in turn number 2, going to bring out the first caution of the night on lap number 3. We'll have to go ahead and take a look at what happened.
Yeah, you could tell early on the start, you could see it. These guys were jockeying for position middle of the pack already, and just kind of the storm brewing. A couple guys wrong place, wrong time by the sound of it.
Well, it definitely started before they got into the corner. You can see here a couple of drivers fanning out into turn number 1. I believe Gavin Fitzgerald was among them. Just taking another look at it here. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, it started just around the 14th, 15th position. Looks like the 77 of Kevin Watler comes up the track, pushes Matt Daniels in the number 45 high. Daniels clips the 14 of Fitzgerald, and the rest of them spin around as a result. Couple of trucks involved with
Ooh.
nowhere to go.
Yeah, a couple big hits there as well. Not sure who that was, but almost popped it up onto the right side of the truck. Just a vicious hit there in turn 1. A lot of guys out early, not what they wanted to see second race into the season.
Yeah, Eric Kepf, after the wreck happens, gets hit by the 64 of Blair Neabone. Just an unfortunate set of circumstances. A lot of drivers with nowhere to go. Taking a look at pit road, a couple of guys are coming in for, looks like, regularly scheduled service. The rest coming in with damage. I see the number 77, Kevin Watler, on pit road, missing a right front fender. His front end is bent up as well. Looks like the 63 of Eric Kepf has a little bit of suspension trouble. Gavin Fitzgerald, that truck also riding low on the right front. So a lot of drivers needing to fix up their trucks early. Aerodynamics, obviously hugely important at a track like Kansas. It's high speed, really downforce dependent. Any small discrepancies in the aero of these trucks could really make a big difference later on.
Yeah, for sure. But one of the things that is kind of good about getting into a wreck early, right? You have the entire rest of the race to fix it up. You know there's going to be some mistakes later on down the line where some other trucks are going to cut out of it. As long as your truck can still drive and still has full power, you can still get some positions back here before the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not over now, but I would say that it's definitely better to not have that damage early on. But sometimes it's unavoidable. It's definitely plenty of time to get those spots back. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on some of those guys that got taken out early, see what the damage really does. It's kind of hard to tell. You don't really know what your truck's going to do until you can really get back rolling. As of now, though, that is our first caution of the night. I believe the lights are out on the pace truck, and we are coming back to green this time by. So we are getting ready to go back racing here at Kansas with Christian Peterson going to lead us back to green alongside the 8 of Terrell Baker.
Yeah, we'll see a couple of guys rolling off a pit road there, too. They're going to have to hurry it back around to catch back up to the back of this field. And hopefully we get a little bit cleaner of a restart this time. And that first start we had some pushing and shoving very early. So would like to see these guys roll off and maybe log some good green flag laps under their belt.
It's definitely a game of aggression, with the rest of the field so hungry to get spots, especially with how hard it can be to pass with some of the dirty air that this truck has. I think it's important to be aggressive on these restarts, but unfortunately, it kind of feeds into a cycle with guys constantly trying to one-up each other and be more aggressive to get to the front. So we'll see if they've learned their lesson and maybe they'll calm down a little bit this time by. We'll just have to wait and see. As the pace truck leads us through turns 3 and 4, it's going to make that hard left turn onto pit road momentarily. Pace truck is off field in the hands of your leader, Christian Peterson, as we enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out. We are back underway at Kansas. Already a bit of a stack up for the outside line. Here comes the 27 of Barbagelata, moving to the high side. Henderson behind him. That'll be 3 wide just around the 8th position. Looks like that's going to get back down to double file. Everybody behaving themselves out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway.
Yeah, not really sorting it out like I thought we would up front here. There's still a battle for the lead going on as we're 2 wide out of 4. Christian Peterson and Tyrell Baker going at it.
Side by side for the race lead. That's the 56 of Matthew Weeks on the bottom. Looks like that bottom line might actually be preferred early on as Weeks Gonna go to the bottom of the racetrack. This time he is not gonna clear as the 71 gets the run off the high side. That's also gonna put Jared Duda in a position to shove the back of the 56 of Weeks going into turn number 3. Now the field sort of migrating to the top. Not a lot of drivers moving down to the bottom. I believe the 16 of Jim Duda, that's him on the bottom line, trying to get up the inside of Ashton Lawson. Nothing doing there. Christian Peterson continues to lead back to turn number 1.
Christian Peterson showed you that last lap why that top lane is so preferred when you come here to Kansas Speedway. Because of that run you get off of the corner, there was no challenge from the bottom side. Matthew Weeks just had to slide back up into the second position, and thankfully he didn't get run over there by Jared Duda.
Slide job for the 3rd spot. Terrell Baker up the inside of Jared Duda. Clears for that spot, and he is going to have it. Car in the wall out of turn number 4. Hunter Madalinas tags the outside wall. No serious damage for the number 7 truck, but that is going to kill his momentum. Nathan jumped to the inside. Going to take advantage. We'll see if he can continue that run on the bottom side of 1 and 2. But to your point, Adam, look at how that high side just fights back on exit. There's so much more speed up there.
Yeah, these guys are going to be hanging out up there for as long as possible. You got to watch it when it rubbers in, though, a little bit. You're going to start searching around. If everybody's riding that top side, eventually that bottom side's going to work its way back into this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially with the new oval refresh system we have on iRacing as of a couple seasons ago, it's definitely going to be interesting to see as the race goes on how different lines come and go. I've definitely noticed it a lot at Kansas before as, whoa, the 41 of Nathan Jump barely clear to the outside. He is going to take that 6th spot away from Jim Duda. Duda doesn't look all too happy about that. Nearly got into the back of the 41 into 3 and 4. But that just shows you how aggressive you got to be at Kansas. You can't let someone get to your outside. Side by side behind, Jared Darling looking up the inside of the 27 of Will Barbagelata. Barbagelata might have tagged the wall there going into turn number 1. As Darling back to the bottoms, see if he can carry the momentum here. He's going to pull side by side with the 7, but down the back he's just going to lose all of it as Barbagelata powers back around the outside.
The important thing to note here is you see a lot of these guys riding that top side, and what that does is that puts a lot of stress on your right front because of the higher speeds you can carry up there. So while you might see some of these guys falling back on the low side, don't count them out just yet. They definitely could come right back up and challenge for these positions in a couple of laps.
Absolutely. One of the quirks about the simulator we have here is that tire wear isn't exactly accurate to real life, whereas you might expect to see in a real-life Kansas race the top line being gentler on tires because of steering angle. Here on iRacing, because of the added banking and the added speed that you're taking through the corner, oftentimes it can be a little bit harder on your tires. Typically what I've found as a driver, the best thing is to, at first you want to run the line that's better for your tires early on in the run, but then as different lanes start to come and go, it becomes more about finding grip and finding heat. It's one thing to run a line that's good for your tires, but if that line doesn't have enough grip and you're just sliding around, you're going to end up killing your tires even more. Down the back straightaway as lap 14 continues, it is all Christian Peterson out front. First battle on track looks to be for the 10th position with Jim Duda on the inside of Elliott Henderson.
Yeah, these guys have been battling out for the last couple of laps, side-by-side racing. Really good keeping it off of each other, putting on a really good show for everybody watching right now.
Also of note, Jared Darling just in front of those two, trying to go up the inside of the 27 of Barbagelata. Darling was one of the dominant drivers last week at Daytona, putting together a solid run today as he is up inside the top 10. Fighting against Elliott Henderson and Will Barbagelata. He's going to go back to the inside into turn number 3. Madalina's down there as well, so we're starting to see a couple of drivers looking around for grip. More guys kind of experimenting with that low line. See Darling there kind of hanging with the 27 out of turn number 4, so it's possible that maybe that inside line's getting better. Whoa! Contact
Big
going
wiggle.
into turn number 1.
Yeah,
like
that was
Darling
a very,
caught the left rear.
that was a very good save. That truck almost shot exactly to the outside wall. Really held on there for dear life. Great job by that driver.
Yeah, Will Barbagelata did a good job hanging out of that number 27 that did kind of hinder Jared Darling's progress. He falls down to the 10th position. Battle behind him between Matt Durr, Jim Duda, and Shane Neiswanger. Nearly 3 wide down the front straightaway. Senzi takes advantage, moves to the high side. 2 by 2, 2 rows deep as they go into turn number one, running the middle and the high line. Senzi got a squeeze around the outside of Shane Nicewonger. That pass for 13th. Nicewonger tries to get up the track, nearly stacks up into the 40 of the 6 of Jackson Sims. Sims on the high side, now Caressel going to the bottom. It is all kicking off through 3 and 4 as Senzi goes to the inside of Duda, who got in the wall. This is getting real tight in the mid-pack.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys battling, and while this is going on, Matthew Weeks is holding right behind the leader. He started to look to the inside, going off into the corners, getting that truck right to the quarter panel of our leader, Christian Peterson, and he's looking to try and make a move for the lead.
The battle for the lead is on. Matthew Weeks, like you said, just looking to the inside, taking the bottom line through 3 and 4, and I think just about now, about 8 laps, how far are we into this run? Just about 12 laps? It is just about now that we're going to start to see different lines kind of come and go. So with everybody running that high line, it's starting to get rubbered in, it's starting to get hot, and it's losing grip. So that bottom line is going to become more and more favorable as Matthew Weeks sends another one to the bottom. Unclear if he's going for the lead or just trying a different line, but he's definitely making progress. He's going to pull even with the 71 down the back straightaway.
It's definitely working for him, whether he's just trying a new line or actually trying to take the lead of this race right now. And you're starting to see some guys behind make similar moves. We got a slide job there for what looks like the 4th position. He's going to slide back up. That looks like the 41 a jump. He's going to make that pass and take it all down into 1.
Trouble out of turn number 4. Looks like the 91 of Austin Moore. No, sorry. It's the number 31 of Dylan Poteet. Looks like he might have caught the wall and is slow going through 1 and 2. He'll be off the pace and moving to the back. And you see a huge pack in front of him. Him getting into the wall created just a little bit of a stack up. 2 wide, a couple of rows deep going into turn number 3. Jim Duda, who's been falling back, is in the middle of that pack. You see the 81 of McConville going to the bottom. Going to be 3 wide out of turn number 4.
And very tight corners there. We see a big wiggle out of the truck in the middle there. He's going to start to slide all the way back, and now this is going to fizzle out a little bit. There's the 5 truck still working the bottom.
Jim Duda is very clearly in trouble. He has been moving straight to the back these past couple of laps. I think he might have worn out his tires, running just a little bit too hard. Not looking good for the 16 truck. Going into turn number 3, Tyler Manji looking to send one. Sorry, Tony Manji looking to send one to the bottom. He is going to take that spot away. Duda clearly struggling with a tight race car right now.
And if you
trouble! A couple of cars in the wall into turn number 4. Brett King caught among them. So was the 91 of Austin Moore. No one's spinning out, but a couple of drivers just got tight out of turn number 4. And into the wall goes Jim Duda into 1 and 2. Duda with more trouble. He'll be going straight to the back. And around go. Oh, this is bad. Jim Duda through the grass, and the 32 of Nick Hansen in trouble as well. Caution is out for the 2nd time tonight.
And right as all this was happening in that middle area of the pack, Matthew Weeks got around Christian Peterson to take the lead of this race. Christian Peterson looked like he got into the wall a little bit as well, stacked up everybody from 2nd to 5th.
So Matthew Weeks takes the race lead, but the real trouble was just around the number 16 of Jim Duda. I had talked about him going to the back, and here it is again. We'll go ahead and go on board with Nick Hansen, but from my point of view, it looks like Duda. I told you he was struggling with a tight race truck. He just got up into the outside wall, he just pulled off the wall way too aggressively, slammed into the 32, and sent the 32 of Nick Hansen straight into the outside wall. Take a look at a replay here shortly.
Yeah. It's just tough break for Nick Hansen. Tried to get out of the way of it, did everything right, and just unfortunately clipped in that right rear and shot straight up into the outside wall.
Yeah, I can imagine there was a lot of frustration for Jim Duda there. I know how it feels to be struggling with a tight race truck. It feels helpless, like you can't do anything, and you get into the wall and you just want to pull it off as quickly as possible, and maybe you didn't check your mirrors enough, you clip somebody else. It's really unfortunate, but it happens. It happens every now and again. All right, the field is coming down pit road, and the 71 of Christian Peterson, the 56 of Matthew Weeks is going to lead them down. Jeff, you got anything for us on pit road?
Not much important, boys. It is just pit stop time. It is the end of we're about two-thirds of the way through a field run, so everybody's going to pit right here. Everybody's going to put 4 tires on it, and we're going to hit the reset button at the front of the field.
Out of pit road, the 56 of Matthew Weeks. His crew gets him out of pit road first. followed by the 41 of Nathan Jump. Christian Peterson, the biggest loser in all of that, lost a number of spots. I'm not sure if maybe he struggled getting into his box. I don't know, just a slow pit stop. A couple of drivers staying out as well. On track is the number 23 of Spencer Owens. Sorry about that. That's not accurate. Let me get you a correct report. All right. So I'm hearing in my ear that everybody who came to pit road was on the lead lap, and everybody who stayed out is looking to get a wave around. So, reset here on lap number 24. Everybody on fresh tires and a full tank of fuel as we are going to get set to move forward in this race. It is Matthew Weeks leading the field under caution here at Kansas.
Guys, as we pace around here onto yellow, we are looking at a couple trucks at the front of the field who were involved in that first wreck. You see Gavin Fitzgerald among them, looking to take the wave around. That'll put, let me double check timing and scoring. That'll put drivers like Gavin Fitzgerald and Spencer Owens back on the lead lap. It'll be interesting to see. They're going to only have about 10 laps to get another yellow before they have to make a pit stop, and that is something that could further basically ruin their night.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that whenever I'm in a race like this, it is always my number one priority to stay on the lead lap when I'm getting damage repair, because it just makes it so much harder if you have to later on in the race choose between a wave around or getting damage fixed and getting service. In general, being a lap down can sort of be a death sentence, and unfortunately for a lot of the drivers that were caught up in that lap 1 incident, it is proving, or lap 2 incident, sorry, it is proving to be quite the problem. So that'll be Aspen, Martin, Preston, Henry, and Gavin Fitzgerald, who are now stuck behind the 8 ball. Let's say the rest of the field is on the lead lap. Your top 36 are on the lead lap. Your lap down trucks are Eric Kepf, Nick Hansen, Adam Zorn, and then, like I mentioned, the wave around trucks of Henry, Martin, and sorry, there's one other, Henry, Martin, and Fitzgerald. Nick Hansen, of course, with that heavy front end damage after hitting the outside wall, he very well might be out of the race. Lights are out of the pace truck, and we are getting ready to go back green. Your wave arounds are clear to go around the pace car. They'll be back on the lead lap, or at least one lap higher than they were before. Leading us back to green will be the 56 of Matthew Weeks, alongside Nathan Jump, and row 2, the pushers for the front two, Jared Duda on the inside of Terrell Baker.
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter going on the radio as we're lining up here. It sounds like there's some confusion on where some guys are supposed to be lining up. So hopefully this is gonna get situated here before we go back to green.
Yeah, unfortunately, iRacing's timing and scoring not always the most accurate. Looks like a majority of the field is back down to double file. I think the problem looks like around the 25th position. There's a couple of people out of line, but I think everyone's getting back together. I think we are all set to go back racing here at Kansas as Matthew Weeks, your new race leader, got it from Christian Peterson under that green flag run. Peterson looks like he ran into some serious trouble on pit road. He is all the way out of the top 5. All right, pace truck is in. Matthew Weeks, your race leader, into the Geico restart zone. Green flag, we're back racing at Kansas. Nathan Jump gets a terrible restart on the outside, and Matthew Weeks is clearing away towards turn number 1.
You see these guys battling for position there for second. That's Nathan Jump and Jared Duda, I believe, on that inside. Jared looks like he's going to clear him off of 2, so we're going to be single file for the top 4, 5, looking almost back to 7th or 8th now for our first battle on track.
Now everyone goes to the high side. I was wondering where that top line was, but you know who's down on the high side? Nathan Jump. He goes to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's going to take that second spot right back from Jared Duda, who gets a little bit loose out of turn 4. He'll have Terrell Baker all over his gearbox as we head back towards turn number 1. Weeks leading over Jump, Duda, and Baker. Behind them, Ashton Lawson and Madalina's both going to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find some clean air as Nathan Jump closes up on your leader with that bottom line. Down the back straightaway, Matthew Weeks still in the lead. Battle for third. Here comes Terrell Baker up the inside.
And he's going to look to slide up here into third. He should have the position. He's just got to watch the run now coming back. See if he can hold on to it before we get back into 1.
Yeah, Jared Duda looking like he's struggling a little bit on this restart. He was cooking on that long run. He was moving towards the front of the field, but now he is starting to move back just a little bit as he falls back to fourth. Baker clearing him. Behind them, Lawston still has that spot over Madalinas. Will Barbagelata, big run down the back straightaway. Not able to continue it into turn number 3 as we ride on board with the number 8 of Terrell Baker.
You can watch Terrell here. Look at him use every inch of this racetrack, all the way down to the apron, down the front stretch. Then he's going to go all the way up right next to that wall and throw it way down into turns 1 and 2. The track almost races very similar to how you'd see a dirt race go, where you can just kind of set the car wherever you want to go, and you can find speed if you know how to drive your truck in that area. So a lot of opportunity for these guys as we get early into the run, as we see a battle for the lead here looking like in 3 and 4.
Nathan Jump looking aggressive. He's got a nice run out of turn number 4. He used the bottom through 3 and 4, was able to pull even with the 56 of Weeks. Weeks gets the run down the front straightaway, but is not clear going into turn number 1. Jump thought better of going back to the bottom. He goes back to the high side through turns 1 and 2. So Nathan Jump content to ride in line for now, maybe looking to set up a better opportunity. Down the back straightaway, Jackson Sims on the high side takes 15th away from Nicholas Caress. Looks like that's where the action on track sort of starts as you get further back into the field. Nice little battle for 15th going on here. Caressel back down the inside, side by side, trying to take that 15th spot back.
And Caressel, I was watching him before the last caution. He was one of the guys that came down pit road. I don't know if he took tires at all, but he was kind of making his way back through the field. So good to see him kind of working his way back up here again. Might have a fast truck there sitting back there. Just needs to get some clean air.
Yeah, right you are. I think clean air can make a big difference when it comes to the handling of these race trucks. You can see there in turn number 3, he's just looking underneath the 6 of Jackson Sims, peeking that left front headlight out, trying to get a little bit of clean air, but unfortunately he is not able to keep the momentum up as Zach Henry gets around him on the high side. In fact, Henry's got a big run. He's coming up on the back bumper of the 6 of Jackson Sims. The biggest thing I'm noticing right now is that if you want to run the bottom, you need a big arc. Notice how right there Caressel didn't get all the way up to the side of Zach Henry. He didn't get the biggest arc he could have, and he lost a lot of momentum because of that.
Yeah, and that shallow arc can save you a little bit, though, because you're going to carry a little less speed into the corners. So, yes, you are going to lose some positions early in this run, but you are going to save your tire a little bit more. If you go in at that same speed and you're pulling on the wheel real hard to get the truck to turn, you're going to wear out that right front just like you are on the top side. You're not going to really go anywhere. So it'll be interesting to see here the next 5-10 laps where that truck starts to move.
Oh yeah, for sure. And as we've seen from earlier on in this race, wearing out a right front tire can be a death sentence. We saw what happened to Jim Duda. He was running so well early on, and then he fell like a cinder block in a 2-foot creek as that run went on. Battle for the lead, heating back up. Nathan Jump and Terrell Baker both closing out on the 56 of Matthew Weeks, as behind them, Elliot Henderson looking at the high side of Will Barbagelata. Barbagelata closes the door in Henderson's face.
And these guys up front, they've been a little bit more calm. Nobody's really getting away from anybody. But they are looking at some of these moves here, trying to start making some runs.
Yeah, Elliot Henderson, definitely one of the drivers looking to move forward a little bit. He is all over the back bumper of that 27 truck, looking a little bit higher on the exit of turn 4. He'll have the run down the front straightaway. We'll see if Elliot moves low. Yes, he does. Barbagelata going to give him that bottom line. Side by side at turn number 1. Is Henderson going to go for the slide job? He's going to get down to the bottom seam, but he looks content to just run the middle. He's clear up for now, and he has got it. Move Elliot Henderson up into 8th. Barbagelata not going to fight it. Trucking the wall out of turn number 2. Zach Henry slow on the back straightaway. Jackson Sims splits the difference going into turn number 3. Sims now up the middle, 3 wide through 3 and 4. Hunter Brittle leading that pack. Sims nearly up into the right front of Henry. This is getting messy down the front straightaway.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and that's kind of the risk you play going all the way to that apron, too, when you go down the front stretch. You know there's guys up there, but you don't know how much space is in between you. Your spotter's got to let you know. And sometimes that's not the easiest with the iRacing spotter.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to tell where people are going on the racetrack. One of the biggest things I've struggled with this track in the past is figuring out if the guy on the inside is running the apron or going to run on the white line. And I am ashamed to say that I nearly right-hooked someone into the outside wall in a league race recently, but luckily we avoided any problems there. Side by side for 15th still is Zach Henry. fights on the outside of Nicholas Caressel, using the draft of Jackson Sims to keep him alongside. And Adam, that's actually something I wanted to bring up, is the role of the draft in these trucks. One of the things I've noticed in my time on iRacing is that it can be crucial to stay in line with other drivers to pull yourself to the front of the field using that draft. But what's your take on it?
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You want to get clean air on the front of your truck. You don't want to be following in the tire tracks all day of the driver in front of you because you're not going to pass them. But at the same time, the way that these trucks are powered, you need as much help as possible. So if you have somebody pushing you down a straightaway, you're going to get a bigger run. It's kind of how do you want to play it? Do you ride in line for as long as possible, or do you make the move in the corners, see if you can use that straightaway speed to claw your way towards the front?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I think is important to keep in mind as we see Will Barbagelata side by side out of turn number 4 with Michael Senzi, Shane Neiswanger. But one of the things to keep in mind is that if you get out of line to make a move on the bottom and you can't get back up, that's where the draft is. Everyone is running the wall down the straightaway. So if you're out of line, you might also be out of luck. As we see Elliot Henderson ripping that outside wall. He's got his right rear, that was Chris Heller ripping the outside wall. He's got his right rear quarter panel all the way up against that American ethanol signage through 3 and 4. And I think that's something else that a lot of these guys are going to have to play around with, is how close do you get to the outside wall? Because obviously, get too close, you're going to get stuck in it. But the higher you get, the more speed you can find.
Exactly, and we've seen guys in real life make that work. Tyler Reddick being one of them, a known master to go up there and put it right on the wall. So, you know, if you can make it work and run it consistently, it's going to work for you. But it is a very risky move. Very easy to get into the wall in that position as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The exit of turn 4 proving to be one of the trouble spots at this racetrack, as we see a battle for second on track. Terrell Baker looking to track down the 41 of Nathan Jump, car in the wall at a turn number 4, just as I was talking about it. That was Hunter Madalinas, who just got a little bit too tight, hit that outside wall. No serious damage, but definitely you lose a lot of momentum and do that over and over again. You could be looking at a broken right front.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I wanted to point out here, we're starting to see Matthew Weeks kind of pull away from the rest of these cars. So the leader's starting to get a little bit of gap. Maybe that fresh air giving a little bit more of an advantage. Second and third there, they're starting to battle it out. But the longer they battle, the further Matthew's going to get away from them.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things about this truck is that if you can get to the race lead... Oh, there's a truck in the wall at a turn number 4 on the front straightaway.
There's a slow truck on
Sam
the straightaway right now. Yeah, he's just hugging the wall up there.
Sam Hoff is stuck in the wall down the front straightaway. I think he's just letting the field go by, but that is unfortunate for the driver of the 17, who was caught up in a wreck earlier today, also caught up in a wreck at Daytona. He is currently running 35th, and I can't imagine he's having all that great of a time.
No, for sure. And that's what he said. He just got stuck in the wall there. Came over the radio, got stuck in the wall, but he just kept it up there, kept it rolling. Thankfully, let everybody else around him go by, no issue.
We got a nice pack of trucks here going down the front straightaway. This battle looks to be for 15th overall, as Matt Durr leads this little train of trucks with Hunter Brittle behind him. You can see these guys getting real close to the wall. Zach Henry, they're nearly hitting it in the middle of 1 and 2. But down the back straightaway, here comes Hunter Brittle looking to the inside of Matt Durr. And in turn number 3, Brittle going to go down to the bottom of the racetrack. That battle for 14th. Brittle's got it. Here comes Zach Henry as well. So a lot of the action right now in the mid-pack.
Yeah, that 44 truck, I'm watching it from a blimp cam right now. You can start to see the rear end sliding around a little bit on that 44 truck from where he's at. What that's going to do, though, is it's going to allow guys to kind of really get in on the bottom side, but he'll be able to get a much straighter shot off exit. He's just got to be able to hold on to it for a little while longer.
You can see the aggressive blocking required to hold. Oh, trouble! Back straightaway, one truck hard into the outside wall. I believe that was the 24 of Tony Manji. No, I'm not sure who that was. It was the 13, Lewis Woodall, hard into the outside wall. The Pepsi truck goes around, and the caution is out on lap number 46 for the third time tonight.
Yeah, that looked to be a very big hit. Not sure what happened, if he got loose or something in front of him.
Sorry, I called that one wrong. So that was not the 13 of Lewis Woodall who initiated the wreck. It was Jim Duda. It was Jim Duda, his night going from bad to worse, and it looks like Just a classic case of side drafting gone wrong. We'll go ahead and take a look at a replay here. But yeah, going into turn number 3, you saw that black truck shooting back up to the outside wall. That was Jim Duda, who brings out our third caution of the night.
Yeah, battling there with the 81 truck. Just like you said, a side draft gone wrong. Got a little contact on that left rear. And these things are just so light in the rear end that the slightest bit of contact can really make you upset the truck, and then you're just kind of along for the ride if you can't hold on to it, which very rarely are guys able to hold on to it once it gets that sideways.
Yeah, so Mike McConville, we're having a little bit of issue with our broadcast here, so I'm not sure if I'm relaying what's on screen right now, but Mike McConville, 1 second. Sorry, been talking a lot today. But Mike McConville was trying to hold the 16 of Jim Duda close to the outside wall to side draft and just clipped him in the left rear quarter panel. Jim Duda went around. The back end of the truck nearly picked up off the ground. In fact, it did pick up off the ground. We're lucky he didn't go all the way over. He just slid back up the track and hard into the outside wall. That is what brought out our third caution of the night, as the rest of the field is coming to pit road. Well, they just did come to pit road. Jeff, our pit road reporter, tell us what's going on down there.
Another yellow, another round of the same strategy. It looks like everybody's going to come down pit road. Everyone's going to top it off again. I don't know that everyone took 4 tires, but Nathan Jump is going to come out the leader ahead of Matthew Weeks. It looks like his pit stop time, his pit lane time was about 1.3 seconds quicker than Matthew Weeks. So it looks like Nathan Jump just from stem to stern, just a better pit entry, better pit exit, better pit stop, and that's going to give Nathan Jump the lead here in the mid part of the race.
Yeah, I can confirm that Nathan Jump did take 4 tires, but once again, pit road playing a pivotal role in this race. Earlier on, we saw Christian Peterson get sent to the back following some pit stops, and now it's Nathan Jump who takes advantage and leaps to the race lead. I did not want to say jumps to the race lead, even though that is what came to mind first.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. So a lot of these guys, like myself included, when I run in league races, right, I'm going out there, I'm trying to set race pace, I'm trying to figure out qualifying speed. Pit road is really where you can get the most of your positions. So a really good job getting on and getting off there and maximizing everything that he could.
Well, it's execution, right? I mean, it's hard to win a race on pit road, especially this early on, but you can certainly lose a race on pit road. So a lot of these, I mean, they're small details overall, right? Getting into your pit box well, not missing your box, but making sure you're carrying as much speed as you can on pit road. They're small details. They're not something that drivers necessarily practice over and over again, but it's something that can make or break your entire race. We saw Christian Peterson get put behind the 8 ball. Now he's running 17th. Nathan Jump, on the other hand, he's been running a great race so far. He might not be the outright fastest, but he is now in the race lead. And I do also believe that he is your defending series champion. So small, executions like that over the course of the season, that's what makes a championship season. It's not necessarily outright raw speed, it's strategy, not making mistakes. And Nathan Jump so far today, looking like he is doing a very good job of that. Number 14, Gavin Fitzgerald takes the wave around as we are getting ready to go back racing here at Kansas. I believe from here on out, these drivers should be able to make it on one more stop, as your projected fuel window is just about 36 to 38 laps. So if we go green, it'll be one stop to the end. Nathan Jump going to lead the field back to green over the 56 of Matthew Weeks. Your second row, the same as the restart before, Jared Duda alongside Terrell Baker. But one driver that I'd keep an eye out for is that 37 of Elliott Henderson. He has been floating around the back half of the top 10, and now that truck is coming alive. He has broken into the top 5 and will be restarting inside row number 3.
Guys, just a quick update from pit road. I went back and looked, and it looked like Gavin Fitzgerald had actually just made his pit stop 1 lap before that caution came out. So Gavin Fitzgerald takes the wave around here, but he is still going to be stuck 1 lap down as we get ready for the restart.
Man, that's just a tough break for Gavin. Hopefully he can get it back here as we get ready to go green.
Yeah, here we go out of turn number 4. The pace truck going to turn down pit road, leaving the field in the hands of Nathan Jump. Jump in that 41 truck coming up on the Geico restart zone. He's got a bit of a stagger, and we are back green here at Kansas. Another bad restart for the second place driver. He gets hit up the back by the number 8 of Terrell Baker. Nathan Jump gets a great jump going into turn number 1. He is going to lead the field by about a car length.
We're starting to see intensity pick up on these restarts a little bit. Not sure if these are going to be the last restarts that we see. If we're going to have another caution here, we still got about 75 laps to go. But as
And we
we
got a big
start
scramble in the back. 3 wide to turn number 3, just around the 15th spot. That's Tony Manji in the middle of it all with the 57 and Matthew Rodriguez on the high side. Rodriguez going to get a nice run out of turn number 4. He should clear for that spot. Christian Peterson behind them, but it all started out at turn number 2, and that just goes to show one small checkup can cause a huge scramble for positions into turn number 3. Looks like that is all going to single file out, or at least double file out for now. But a lot of intensity on these restarts as drivers look for any opportunity they can to jump up. Now, we're looking back at the front of the field with Elliot Henderson looking on the inside of Will Barbagellata as up at the front. Nathan Jump leads over Matthew Weeks, but here comes Weeks with a big head of steam off the high line. He's going to move to the outside. Jump can't shut the door. And for the race lead, Matthew Weeks looking to take back the crown through turn 1 and 2.
Keep an eye on that third place Tyrell Baker. He got a big run as well. If these guys stay side by side, he's going to introduce himself into this battle. See if he can't go jump to the lead.
Matthew Weeks taking back the race lead in turn number 3. Jump looks back to the bottom. Tyrell Baker waiting in the wings, but it is once again that high line proving to be the dominant line on these restarts. Now Nathan Jump looking to hang with him on the inside. Can't do it. Matthew Weeks shuts the door and leads lap number 52.
Next closest battle of this on track is going to be the 27 Will Barbagellata and then Ashton Lawson as well there. And then it looks like Shane Neiswanger as well. Shane's going to slide up, take the door. 27 crosses him back over as we get ready to go into 3.
Barbagellata looking down the inside. He's going to run the bottom through 3 and 4. Neiswanger not letting him have too much of an advantage on the bottom. He's going to hold him tight. Out of turn number 4, that got a little tight with the outside wall, but that battle rages on for 7th. They are still side by side coming to the line, nearly a dead heat at the start-finish line as Barbagellata and Neiswanger stay side by side through 1 and 2.
And the hard thing here for Will Barbagellata is that he is not getting clear enough to slide up in front of Shane. So he's got to try to stay as close as he can, or he's going to slot back in here like that. Just don't abuse those tires early on. If you can make the pass work, do it. But otherwise, let's hold on to it. It's a long race still.
So Shane Neiswanger is going to take that spot. Next battle is for P12 as Tony Manji right now has that spot, or sorry, P13 as Manji right now has that spot over Jackson Sims and Hunter Brittle. It seems like Sims and Brittle have been in a battle every time we've looked at them. Through 1 and 2, Manji using that high side to clear Sims. Sims now moving back as Hunter Brittle going to follow Manji through on the high side. Now Manji looking at the bottom on Senzi. Now it's a battle for 12th. Going into turn number 3, Manji on the bottom, Senzi up top. They're both going to try and fight for the low line. That's going to leave clean air on the top side for Hunter Brittle to get a nice run out of turn number 4. We're on board with him. He's going to look to the high side. 3 wide for 12th. In a turn number 1, no, Senzi slams the door in his face.
Yeah, this is starting to become a little bit of a hornet's nest mid-pack. Mid-pack guys race each other way harder than guys for the lead do, and this is showing it right now. It's a battle every single lap.
Yeah, especially with all the draft that these trucks have. I mean, this is the best racing on track as Michael Senzi holds that spot for now. Brittle and Manji going at it behind. I think Brittle's going to have that spot out of turn number 4 with some nice run off the high side and a nice draft off the 40 truck of Nicholas Caressel. He is just about going to have that spot into turn number 1. That'll give him the breathing room he needs to run all the way back up top, right against that outside wall. In fact, that might leave him with a nice run here off of turn number 2. We'll see if he might make a move on Senzi here going into turn number 3. Yes, he does. Yeah. Down to the bottom. Hunter Brittle looking for more.
Hunter Brittle made that move, and these guys in front of him have been running that bottom side. So jumping down there, you take the lane away, but you can see just how hard it is on these new tires to try and get that run off of Forrest. He's going to get sucked right back to the front of that 24 truck.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how quickly momentum can swing back and forth as Tony Manji goes back down the inside of Brittle. Brittle able to hold on to that spot. He keeps it with the run off the high side. But let's direct our attention back up to the battle for the lead because Nathan Jump has closed right up to the bumper of Matthew Weeks. He's just about a 10.5 off of him now with Tyrell Baker right behind. Pass for 5th. There goes Elliot Henderson clear of the 11 truck. Heller going to fight back on the bottom, but I think Henderson might have it down the front straightaway. If he can just stay on his outside, I think Henderson's got it. We'll see what happens off of turn number 2. No! Chris Heller slides up in front of the 37. Heller back to the spot as battle for second. Here comes Terrell Baker looking down the inside of Nathan Jump. He'll think better of it going into turn number 3.
And some heated words on the radio coming across here. Some drivers are really starting to get frustrated with some of the moves being made, as we're starting to see a whole lot of battles around track, and guys are starting to realize it's almost go time.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for us, the aggression that you need to have at this track makes a really exciting race, but maybe not so fortunately for the drivers. It means that you need to make aggressive blocks and aggressive moves because, like we've seen, if you can't get clear to the top, you are going to get steamrolled down the front straightaway. There's just so much more speed up for grabs up there as we are once again looking at that battle for 5th. Elliott Henderson all over the bumper of Chris Heller as they exit turn 4.
Elliott Henderson is not having it right now over the radio from what we can hear. That slide right in front of his nose is really frustrating him.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get frustrated, but I think you got to understand as a driver that some of these moves are necessary to make in order to keep position. We'll see if Henderson can find a better way around the 11 of Chris Heller. He might just have to send it into turn number 3. Well, there he goes. He'll go for a slide job. Not quite. He's just going to stick on the bottom. He's not going to be anywhere near clear off turn 4 unless Heller gets checked up. Henderson keeps with him on the bottom. Shane Neiswanger looking to push him as well, side by side into turn 1. We'll see if Henderson can make it this time by. He's going to go in on the middle, pushes the 11 up the track, but that got him tight in return. So Henderson, oh, caution's out. So sorry I missed that. Looks like it was a wreck in the back, and it's the 4 of Rod Fasnaugh, who's slow on the apron of 1 and 2. Sorry, folks. It's very entranced in that battle between Heller and Henderson. I almost forgot to look out for a caution. See where it started.
And I'm watching the 4 truck here. See what
It was the 81 of McConville, looks like. That's what I'm seeing on the screen right now. And yes, it was. Mike McConville gets sent around off the side of the 12 of Zach Henry. McConville goes through the grass, locks it up, can't save it, and just spins out down the front straightaway. Oh, and in going back up the track, forces the 38 and 98 into the outside wall.
Yeah, and that's where the 4 gets into him. He gets back up the track, tries to keep it locked down, but you're going to see the 4 just clip the bumper right there. And unfortunate place to be for it all.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's just a classic case of overcorrection gone wrong as McConville slides back up in front of the track and forces a couple of other trucks into evasive action, including the 98 of Robin Durr and the 38 of Alex Fetter. Caution out for the 4th time tonight.
Jeff, I hope you got your notepad working down there because I think we're going to start to see some different strategies here. We've ran 16 laps on this last stint.
Nathan jumps in the grass.
Like I was about to say, I can already tell you, Nathan Jump, he found he didn't get a penalty, but he's going to take the 1X and try to take the lead. And it looks like he, we'll go back and look at the replay in just a second. And it looks like he snookered him. It looks like he got Matthew Weeks to commit to pit lane, and he didn't want to. So now that's going to
That is exactly what he did.
It looks like we're going to have about half the field pitting and half the field staying out. So now this is going to make this race really interesting, guys. Especially with how chaotic the mid pack has been. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens as these guys on, let me see, 10, 15 lap fresher tires are going to be coming up through the field.
Yeah, Jeff, I'd check myself, but unfortunately those drivers aren't rendered for me. Who are some of the heavy hitters in this race that you're seeing on pit road?
Well, Matthew Weeks looked like he was about the only driver in the top 10 to pit. Matthew Weeks, Jared Duda, I'm not Jared Duda, I'm sorry. Matthew Weeks, Jared Darling brought it down pit road. Let me dial it back for you here. Talking to the control room, and let's have a look-see at what Nathan Jump did coming to pit road because he absolutely fooled Matthew Weeks.
Yeah, it was kind of a smart move on his part. I was able to catch a look at it. He just went down pit road, waited for the 56 to be beyond the commitment cone, and then just hung a hard right across the grass. There's no penalty for it, and pitting now doesn't mean you can get to the end, so he's not really putting himself in that bad of a spot. He just didn't want fresh tires and got some track position because of it. Smart move by the 41 of Nathan Jump.
Yeah, Nathan Jump had a lot of speed. Look at that, just very, very late, almost last second to where that commitment cone is, and just very impressive to be able to make that work.
I genuinely don't think it gets much more last second than that. So Nathan Jump showing our defending champion showing he's here to play in season 10.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point about him being the defending champion, uh, being able to play mind games like that, I mean, it's part of it, you know? Execution, I think, goes beyond just not making any mistakes. It also goes to being able to get in your competitors' heads and being able to make strategy decisions like that. I mean, things that most people might not even think about when they're driving are things that are going through some of these competitors' minds. And that kind of mindset is sometimes what you need to win races and win championships. Especially considering a lot of these guys don't have crew chiefs. You know, if you're Nathan Jump, I mean, I should probably check if he does have a crew chief before I say anything. But if you're someone like Nathan Jump, you don't have someone on the box for you making strategy calls. You got to do that all yourself, all while driving and racing other cars. There's a lot to think about, but the best drivers are the ones that can manage all of that and manage it well. That's what separates the top talents from guys that are just top 10 competitors. So Nathan Jump, smart move there to get himself into the race lead. We'll see if the fresh tires on Matthew Weeks are able to fight back through the field. But as of now, it'll be Nathan Jump in control.
I was going to say we have 18 cars here that stayed out under that last caution. The first car who came back down would be Matthew Weeks. He's going to restart in 19th. So he's got a lot of cars he's going to have to work his way through. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out here.
Absolutely. I think if this race goes green, though, that is a great spot to be in. Fresh tires on a track as wide as Kansas, there is no shortage of passing opportunities. In fact, Jeff, if you don't mind, I might ask that we go on board with Matthew Weeks on this restart to see what he can do on these fresh tires. His advantage is going to be about the tune of 18 laps, which can be quite a lot here on iRacing. So, through turns 3 and 4, the pace truck is going to come down pit road, this time by leaving the field in the hands of Nathan Jump and Terrell Baker. We've seen pretty much the same heavy hitters at the front of the field all day. Elliot Henderson, once again in 4th. I still think that he is someone to look out for as this race goes on. Pace truck is in, field in the hands of Nathan Jump as he approaches the Geico restart zone. Into the blue, we're back green at Kansas.
For the first time tonight, the outside lane looks like it actually got a good jump.
Yeah, Terrell Baker hanging with the 41 of Nathan Jump in a 1 and 2, and he's going to look to make a run at his right rear quarter panel. In fact, there he goes. He's got the run, and out of turn number 2, Baker on the high side for the first time tonight. That outside line on the restart is going to prevail. And at turn number 3, he's edging ahead. Jump's going to try to fight back on the bottom, but Terrell Baker, last week's winner, is going to take the lead at Kansas. 3 wide behind. Chris Heller stuck in the middle of it. Nice Wonger on the inside. That'll file back out to 2 wide. Heller escapes through the middle. Still side by side for the lead between Jump and Baker.
And these two are going to battle it out. Watch out for Elliot Henderson, too. We heard that he was getting hot on the radio after that slide job. He's now up to 3rd, and here he comes to join this lead pack battle.
Elliot Henderson is fired up, but it's Terrell Baker who's firing away at the front of the field. Watch the mid-pack around 14th. They are 3 wide through the middle of the corner. That's the 7 of Hunter Madalinas. Stuck in a hornet's nest of cars coming out of turn number 4. Jared Darling in there as well. I don't even have much to say. I think you just got to watch the action through 1 and 2. These trucks are everywhere on the racetrack.
This is where those old tires start to meet new tires, and so a lot of comers and goers in this hornet's nest. You have got to be very careful with every move that you make. You do not want to ruin your night right now.
Just look at this. Jared Darling on the fresh tires fighting through on the bottom, slicing through the field like a hot knife through butter. He is clear of a load of trucks through 3 and 4. That'll leave Manji and Weeks and Senzi 3 wide behind as they go back into turn number 1.
Got a truck in the wall there in 1. I'm not sure who that was up top. The 92 truck clipped the wall, so it's going to keep this battle 3 wide mid-pack here as we start to go down the backstretch towards 3.
That was Michael Senzi. He stacks up Madalinas, but now goes to the inside of Tony Manji. 3 wide through 3 and 4. Lewis Woodall on the inside, and it is still a hornet's nest of trucks coming out of turn number 4. Matt Durr falling back in the middle with Hunter Brittle on his outside. Madalinas looking 3 wide up the inside of Senzi. I mean, I'm just out of things to say. Senzi into the wall. That's going to stack up a couple of trucks behind him. 3 wide, staggered 4 nearly coming out of turn number 2. Senzi falling back.
Watch the lead pack here.
Crazy.
Jared Duda has just gone to the front of the pack, 7 laps to go from almost 18th back down to the lead.
And that's the power of new tires. Jared Duda, using fresh rubber to his advantage, takes the lead with Jared Darling behind. We were wondering if fresh tires was going to be the right call. Well, in a matter of 5 laps, Matthew Weeks has gone from the well, he went from the race lead all the way back to 19th, back up to 3rd, but it's not him who's leading the charge on fresh tires. It's Jared Duda, with Jared Darling following behind.
It's the Jared and Jared show out of turn 4. Jared Darling starting to make a run towards that lead. Jared Duda hoping he stays back. And then don't look behind them, but Matthew Weeks starting to sneak into this picture as well. We've seen him up front all night. He's trying to go back and take that crown again.
Fresh tires was absolutely the way to go, and Jared Darling, who hasn't been to the front all night, is now fighting with Jared Duda for the race lead. We saw both of these drivers be incredibly competitive at Daytona last week. They are once again finding themselves at the front of the field, and I imagine right now Nathan Jump is kicking himself for not coming down pit road with Matthew Weeks. Looking side by side out of turn number 4, Darling still trying to chase down Jared Duda for the race lead, but he was slow off the corner. Matthew Weeks going to jump to the outside for second.
Look at this. We are 2 wide for the lead, almost 3 wide here. If Matthew Weeks can get a good enough run, he's not going to be afraid to take it. And Jared Duda staying out front, but here we go off into 3. This is about to be a battle.
Matthew Weeks looking sporty, Jared Darling looking hungry, and Jared Duda just trying to hold them all off. Darling on the inside gets a nice run through 3 and 4. Going to look side by side for the race lead. Matthew Weeks pushes the 53 on the high side. Now he looks high, but gets cut off. Back to turn number 1, status quo out front. Jared Duda still hanging on. And how about Mike McConville? McConville on the fresh tires is up in a 5th after bringing out the last caution. What a drive by the 81 truck.
We have a lot of guys who have just come from the back of the pack to the front thanks to this caution. It'll be interesting to see how this strategy plays out as the race goes on. But right now, Nathan Jump, who was our leader, he's now back in 7th place and still falling slowly.
Yeah, I have him at 9th place now as he continues to go back. Jeff, over to you.
Guys, one thing from pit road that I just realized we're overlooking is there are tire limits in the Great Lakes Truck Series. Looking through the data, it looks like the top 3 only have 1 set of tires left in the pits. So if we go green from here, it's not an issue. If we go green from here, it's not going to be an issue. But if we start to get yellows towards the end of this race, it could completely flip what they're doing to the field right now.
Jeff, that is an excellent point. I think if we get 2 more cautions that are decently spaced out from here on out, that is going to spell big trouble for the drivers that are running out of tire sets. As we just saw, tires are make or break when it comes to being able to lead this race. Matthew Weeks on the inside of Jared Duda. They're both on fresh tires, is looking to take back the race lead. The high line looking strong for now, but you can tell Matthew Weeks is hungry to take back what's his.
Another thing
These
to
guys
note from pit road, guys, looking at the stints here, we're only about 6 laps away from those guys who stayed out on the last yellow from having to make a pit stop. So my tablecloth math isn't looking good for these guys that did not pit under the last yellow, assuming we don't get another caution and another caution soon.
Oh, that's very interesting, yeah. So assuming a fuel run is 38 laps max, it's going to be close for a lot of these guys to make it to the end, but hey, I got to assume they know what they're doing. Maybe they're able to save some fuel under caution. You can never really count that out. As behind the leaders, Austin Moore has gotten around Brett Kingcutt in a 3-way battle for 6th. Cody Miller up the inside as well. These are more drivers on fresh tires that have been cutting their way to the front of the field. That looks actually like one of the more competitive battles on track as Jared Duda has been able to hang on to the front, but behind them, things looking a little bit racier as side by side for 7th are Cody Miller and Brett Kingcutt. Oh, well,
Brett Kingcutt got into the wall. Yeah, he just hit the wall on the entrance to 1, tried to go run that high line right next to the wall, and the truck just got sucked right on in, so keeps it going. He's still in this battle, but definitely going to have a little bit of damage to fight with moving forward here.
Yeah, these trucks are pretty hardy. I think a hit like that on the outside wall isn't going to do much. The main thing it'll do is it'll kill his momentum. For the race lead, Matthew Weeks is once again on the charge. He is all over the bumper of Jared Duda, and you can see right there going into turn 1, Weeks backed off on entry a little bit, but he's going to get the hammer down quick and is looking to get the run out of turn 2. He is hounding the rear end of Jared Duda. He's looking low going into turn 3, but I'm going to be honest, I think if there's any way around that 53 truck, it's going to be to get to his outside.
Absolutely. You may be able to slide up in front of him, but you're going to have to be committed to that slide job. You don't want to just lazily move on up the track. You want to get in there, get up, and make sure you can take that high side going into the next turn.
Yeah, he is all over the rear bumper, maybe trying to put a little bit of air on his spoiler, get the 53 loose. You can see a little bit of a wiggle out of Duda out of turn number 2. Weeks again looking to the bottom. Duda throwing a bit of a half-hearted block as we ride on board with the one of Jared Darling. But nothing able to happen. He's just kind of stuck behind the 53 of Duda because I think he knows if he goes to the bottom, he's going to lose a little bit too much time. Well, here he goes, down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's on the apron, side by side for the lead in a 1. Can Matthew Weeks take it? He's going to pack it into the bottom lane. Doesn't look like he's going for a slide job, though. He's going to try just running the bottom. Not like that, though. I think he entered too low. It's going to kill his momentum off, too. Duda holds the top spot.
Great job by Duda there to go up into the high lane, be committed to it. When you have a truck dive down to your inside, it can play mind games on you. You can start to think if that truck's going to slide up. You might get out and try to cross him back over. Great job to commit to the top and stay in it and hold on to that first place position.
You can see Weeks keeps trying to look to the outside of Duda, but Duda just keeps moving up the track, prevents him from moving to the outside. I do think it's interesting, though, that Duda is sort of driving it into each corner a little bit harder than Weeks is. It makes me wonder if maybe he's being a little bit harsher on that right front tire. Keep in mind, too, Jared Darling is still in this battle. He's looking like he's maybe closing up on these leaders. He's been running the bottom for a lot of this run, too. Weeks once again looking to the bottom, maybe trying to shimmy to the inside, maybe using the middle of the racetrack on Jared Duda, but he is not able to get it that time by.
I think it's important to note here that these top 3 cars have stretched almost a 3-second gap between them and the 4th place car. So there's a lot going on here. Maybe these guys saving fuel a little bit further back.
I mean, it could be a tire-saving thing as well. I think maybe if you're Cody Miller, maybe you recognize that on outright pace, you don't quite have anything for these top 3, but if they keep fighting each other, then you can kind of hang back there and save some tire for yourself. We're watching right now the 41 of Nathan Jump, and as Jeff alluded to, he has been on this stint for 37 laps. Our estimated fuel run is 36 to 38 with a couple of cautions thrown in. I could see him making it a couple of other laps, but I think pretty soon that 41 truck is going to have to bring it to pit road.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Just hit lap 38 on his stint, and you can definitely tell the difference that those old tires are making. Right here, he's coming down the backstretch, and he's showing 1.8, almost 2 seconds off of his average pace right now.
Here we go again for the lead. Matthew Weeks made a move to the inside through 3 and 4 and is side by side dead even with the 53 of Duda for the lead. That bottom line really working for him in 3 and 4. We'll see if he can do it again down here in 1 and 2. He's going to get to the bottom, plants that left front tire on the white line, and Jared Duda looking like he's maybe struggling a little bit on the high side. He still gets the run, but it wasn't quite as dramatic as it was earlier, so the advantage starting to fizzle out maybe for that high line as more and more drivers run it and wear it out.
Exactly, and Jared Darling is starting to go to that bottom side now. Look at him close the gap on our 2 leaders. He's coming. He didn't want to leave this party. He just went back, took a little refresh.
Crossover by Matthew Weeks. He baited Duda into going high, left the bottom open again. Weeks this time, instead of running the bottom, is going to run the middle, using that first seam of the racetrack. That's going to cancel out a lot of the advantage of the high side, but maybe not. Duda still able to get the run down the back. We'll see if Weeks has anything for him in 3 and 4. And this time he goes back to the high side.
Weeks is playing this very smart. You're putting pressure on the leader without making your truck have a mistake. You want to put that pressure on.
Here comes Darling. Darling going down the inside. Jared Darling has found his way back to the front. I think he was waiting for his tires to come in. They just now might have. He's going to clip the apron a little bit through 1 and 2. Jared, don't do that. That just killed his run through the corner, but he is looking much faster than these top 2. He is flying up on them.
Exactly, and he's grinding away on that lower lane. We'd call that a catfish because he's a bottom feeder right now. He is just going after our leaders, not up against that wall, but all the way down on that low side, and he's making it work.
Well, I wish we had split screen technology right now because pit stops are starting. The drivers that did not pit on that last caution are having to come to pit road now. We saw the aid of Terrell Baker on pit road along with a couple of other guys. I imagine that Nathan Jump will be soon to pit as well. But things are starting to kick off here at Kansas with the varying strategies starting to show. Once again, for the lead, Darling to the bottom as Duda and Weeks stay on the high side. But Jared Darling, what a run on the bottom! He's nearly clear for the race lead out of turn 4. What a move! Now we're gonna go 3 wide.
This battle off onto the front stretch into one. That was a great move by Jared Darling. Almost paid off for him. Jared Duda might pay the price here of the lead, but they're not going to give it up. They're still battling 2 wide.
Yeah, Jared Darling, I mean, his involvement in this battle, it's giving these other two a little bit more freedom in terms of what lane they go into. I feel like when you only have a 2-car battle, it's easy to kind of get stuck just fighting for one line, but once you have a 3rd car in the mix, starting to mix things up, it kind of creates a little bit more fluidity in the lane. So that's what we're starting to see here as Jared Duda still kind of edging away in the race lead. Darling not quite able to make a dramatic move like he did before. But again, watch this. Those top 2 go to the wall. Jared Darling goes to the bottom. And just in doing that, it just shuffles things up a little bit. It forces both Duda and Weeks to look around for alternative lines instead of just running the top.
Now, it needs to be stated here, though. We have guys right now that are on 44-lap stints that are still waiting to come down pit road. Those guys are going to cycle out to what would be the lead. It'll be interesting to see how many laps these guys have battling for the lead right now to get back to the front at the end of this race, because we're coming up on almost 30 laps to go.
Well, one thing you got to consider is, do you want to undercut or do you want to overcut? Because anyone pitting right now, as we're seeing Elliott Henderson, and I believe that is Barba Gelada coming down pit road. Anyone pitting now is going to get a huge jump on these drivers that can stay out for another 10-15 laps, but on the back half of the run, they're going to pay the price. Now, my motto is usually to always overcut. I like having a tire advantage at the end of the race, but there is something to be said for being out front in clean air. Speaking of being out front, that battle for the lead is still going on. Jared Darling got another great run through 3 and 4. He was able to pull side by side with Jared Duda for the race lead. What I'm noticing is that 1 and 2, the bottom line isn't working that well, but in 3 and 4, it can really move.
There was a big wiggle out of Weeks there as Jared Darling kind of came up. And what I want you to notice, you might be able to see him in a couple of these camera shots. Kincott is slowly reeling these guys in. He's cut it down from about a 3-second gap to about a second and a half.
He's coming down pit road. The 5 truck of Brett Kincott hits pit road. He was one of... Oh, he's going to spin out nearly. He saves it. Good job slowing down by Brett Kincott. He unfortunately missed his pit box, but he is going to be the first. Oh, and Jared Duda's in the wall. Jared Duda in the wall in 1 and 2. That's going to help Darling move by on the bottom. I'm sorry, there is just too much happening right now. But to recap, the 5 of Kincott came down pit road. He is the first driver that pitted under the last caution to hit pit road as Jared Darling makes the move for the race lead, assisted by Jared Duda hitting the wall in 1 and 2. Duda's going to have the run off turn 4, but Jared... Oh, and they're going to crash!
The lights are spinning!
Matthew Weeks sideways. He saves it. Jared Duda as well. We stay green, but that has handed the race lead on a silver platter to Jared Darling. Mike McConville moves for 3rd. Matthew Weeks falls down, and that might have just handed the lead of this strategy to Jared Darling.
Jared Darling made a phenomenal move, threw a slider in, took the lead, and right as Jared Duda got to the back of his bumper, there's just nowhere to go. The 56 of Weeks kind of got into him as well, and it just great save by everybody. Way to keep it going. Let the strategy play out, but... Man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a classic case of not knowing if the driver on the inside was going to run the apron or not. We're getting a look at a replay of it now, but basically, Jared Duda had to run off the high side, was looking to cut to the inside of Jared Darling. You'll see it here in a second, but as he moves low, he's expecting the 56 of Weeks to be on the apron. He wasn't. Weeks was running the right line, the white line. They made contact, and they both half spun. That allows Jared Darling to run away with the lead. Now, the number 1 truck hits pit road.
And so important to note, when pit stops finish up here, who's going to cycle back to the lead? It's going to be Tyrell Baker, right now sitting in 8th place, and then Nathan Jump is going to be behind him in 9th. But right now we've got about the top 6 or 7 drivers who are still out there on this this one-stop strategy.
Yeah, so now the real race starts. Now it's time for these guys to get ready to execute on a long run and really just put their raw driving abilities to the test. Like you said, it will be Terrell Baker who will cycle out to the race lead. He is currently 9 laps down on a stint. Nathan Jump on 2-lap pressure tires will be chasing him down behind. Jared Duda stays on track, so does McConville and Woodall. Austin Moore hits pit road from 4th. Dylan Poteet stays out on track. So, right now, if you look at your ticker, take a look at Terrell Baker in 7th. He is the first driver who no longer needs to make a pit stop in the rest of this race.
And some drivers are starting to come over to the radio. You're starting to hear the tire difference start to play in. Guys being in lanes that other guys want that are battling for positions. It's starting to heat up here as we get down to about 25 laps to go.
Well, here we go for the provisional lead. Nathan Jump moves to the bottom, and with those 2-lap fresher tires, I believe he's not going to have a hard time getting around Terrell Baker. Side by side, coming out of turn number 2, this will be for the race lead, and that NOS Energy number 41 is looking pretty right now. He is going to get around Terrell Baker. Move your defending champion, Nathan Jump, up into 5th. That will cycle out to be the race lead once these top 4 hit pit road. Jared Duda still out on track, so is McConville and Woodall. But it will be Nathan Jump who will cycle back around to the race lead.
And these top 4 or 5, they're coming into that pit window right now, so there's no way that they can make it on fuel. They are going to have to come back down. It's just a question of when do you come back down. Maybe can you get lucky, get a caution out there, and trap a good chunk of the field a lap down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of these guys are banking on, although I think Jared Duda, he looks like he is slowing through 3 and 4. Yes, he is. So the 53 truck is going to hit pit road from 2nd place. A very good run for Jared Duda. So far tonight, he has been running consistently up inside the top 5, and if this strategy plays out for him, he is going to have very much fresher tires towards the end of this race. That hands the lead over to Mike McConville with Lewis Woodall in 2nd, but they still have to make pit stops. It is still Nathan Jump, who you all should be looking at as your future race leader. Now, I think we should turn our attention to the 26 of Ashton Lawson. Out of the drivers that no longer need to make a pit stop, he is in 3rd place, but his tires are 3 laps fresher than Nathan Jump, so he is going to start to run down that 41 truck. Jared Duda on pit road. Looks like he is going to lose about 10 to 15 seconds to Nathan Jump, who is now in the race lead. We'll see if he can close down that gap.
And this is a really interesting time in the race. This is the first time that we've had green flag pit stops go through on track. All our other pit stops have been under caution so far. So the question is how big of a difference do you need to really feel that tire advantage? Is it 3 laps, 4 laps, 5 laps, or do you need more like 10 laps?
Honestly, to me, it looked like 2. We saw Nathan Jump making easy work of Terrell Baker, and that tire advantage was only 2 laps. I honestly don't think on these green flag runs you need too much of an advantage, and I think we have to look no further than Jared Darling to see that advantage playing out. Right now, his tires are 5 laps old. He is looking to run down Terrell Baker. When this all cycles out, Darling will be in the 3rd position, but if you look at their last lap times, Jared Darling ran a 32.4, while Terrell Baker ran a 38.5. That is the product of a 9-lap tire difference, but I also want to say that that was an uncharacteristically good lap. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Jared Darling ran a 32.5. Terrell Baker ran a 33.5. 9 laps comes out to about a second on track. So Jared Darling has a huge tire advantage, and he is in a good spot. I believe Darling is going to be the one to watch out for to take back the race lead.
Yeah, for sure. You can see it. Watching that relative time that's on the left side of your screen there, Jump is 15 seconds back of our current leader. Remember that Woodall, Poteet, and Fitzgerald all have to come down pit road still. But Baker is about 2 seconds, second and a half behind Jump, and Darling is very quickly closing in on Baker.
He took another second out of Baker's advantage last time by, so right now Jared Darling is flying towards the front of the field. Compared to Nathan Jump, he is about 0.7 of a second faster. Dylan Poteet, your race leader. Lewis Woodall hits pit road from 2nd. Gavin Fitzgerald will cycle out now into that 2nd place, but again, he, I believe, still has to make a pit stop to the end of the race. Yes, he does. Both him and Poteet are on 40-lap old tires and 40 laps of fuel, so Nathan Jump will cycle out to your race leader. Here we go for 2nd, Jared Darling, easily flying by the number 8 truck. Jared Darling around Terrell Baker.
Yeah, he just made that look very easy, which should be very concerning up there to Nathan Jump. He's going to have to put up a fight and hope that Darling gives a little bit more on the tire wear before he gets there.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I think that this race is going to play out perfectly for Nathan Jump. He is the only driver inside the top 10 whose tires are 9 laps old. He has the freshest tires of anybody inside the top 10. Matthew Weeks' tires are 10 laps old, but he is all the way down in 8th and a good chunk of seconds behind Jared Darling. So Jared Darling not only has the freshest tires in the top 10, but he is also significantly faster than everybody else in the field and doesn't have anyone on fresher tires chasing him down. Right now, he's got just about a couple of tenths of a second to Nathan Jump, but if we pan out just a little bit here, you'll see that blue and orange 41 truck running for his life. Unfortunately, I think he's just delaying the inevitable as Jared Darling is on the prowl.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of lap traffic between these two guys, so nothing's really going to keep him at bay. There's a lot of single cars between them as we see Jared Darling just swallowing that gap up. He is coming quick.
Yeah, I think if we want to look for another contender, we have to look back to the 53 of Jared Duda. He has the freshest tires in the field. He pitted 6 laps ago, but he is a good ways back. All right, here we go for what will be the lead once Poteet hits pit road. Jared Darling down into turn number 1, moves to the bottom of the racetrack, defending champion Nate. Oh, well, there goes the 13 oh, I forgot his name. Well, the 13 truck shuffling by on the inside. He's a lap down and has fresher tires. But you can see, despite the lapped traffic, Jared Darling makes quick work of Nathan Jump. Move Darling up in a second. That'll be the lead once Poteet comes down pit road, which he is now. So here comes Jared Darling. He's going to nab the lead from the 31. And at the line, the number 1 truck is out front. Jared Darling leading with just under 20 laps to go.
And as long as this stays green, Jared Darling might have this one wrapped up. I think, like you said, Matthew Weeks might be the next closest contender, but Matthew Weeks is still 3 seconds back. So he's going to have to make some big gains if he wants to try to get up here and battle for this.
Yeah, he would have to be a good amount faster on raw pace. He doesn't have a tire advantage, and to add to that, he is experiencing some pretty bad internet issues right now. So things not looking good for the 56, looking incredible for the number 1 of Jared Darling. Nathan Jump, he's not going to have anything for him. Count Jump out of this race. Jared Duda is the only driver I'm somewhat interested in. His tires are about 5 laps fresher than Darling's. Last time by, he 4 tenths quicker, but I do not think he's going to be able to run down 7 seconds in the rest of this race.
I was going to say, we just saw it in that camera shot, too. Tyrell Baker looked like he clipped the wall just a little
back
bit.
Straight away. The number 5 truck is turned, and that's going to send him to the inside. Caution is out. This might just change everything.
I think this is maybe on my fault. The old commentator Kirsch coming out and saying that we pretty much had a boring race to the end here. Jared Darling over the radio, he definitely is agreeing with the frustrations on it right now.
It was Brett Kincott who got turned around coming out of turn number 2. On my end, he was blinking in and out all over the place. Internet issues probably made him hard to see. He's going to get clipped by the 53, turned around. The back end picks up, but luckily that truck stays on the ground. But that's going to bring out our 5th caution of the night, and I think that is going to bode problems for the drivers that pitted under that last caution. The mid-race caution, because watch this. Yeah, Jared Darling is out of tires, so he is going to be forced to stay on the racetrack while Nathan Jump and everybody else who did not pit under that first yellow, or that, I don't know how to refer to it, but that yellow where the split decision happened, he's going to be able to come down pit road. And we saw earlier in the race that even having 10-lap fresher tires made a huge difference. So now their tires are going to be, I'll have to confirm, but just about...
They're going to be about 15, 16 laps fresher, which is not great news for Jared Darling or Matthew Weeks.
He would have to block like crazy to hold on to this race lead. So Jared Darling comes down Nathan Jump comes down pit road. He is out and away fairly quickly. He is going to win the race off pit road. I don't see anybody taking 2. The problem now is that Nathan Jump is going to be mired back in traffic. By my calculations, I'd see about 20 trucks that are still on track, 2019. So he's going to have a good amount of traffic to work through, but if he can do it, this could just play into the hands of your defending champion.
It absolutely could, but the other risk that you need to consider here we're going to be about 2 or 3 more laps, I think, before we see the green flag. That puts us at about 10 to go, and cautions like to breed cautions. So if you get another yellow flag and you don't make up a lot of positions, your challenge as the 41 there just got way harder.
Oh, that's true. And another thing to keep in mind is that only 15 laps into a run, I mean, these tires they're going to get heat cycled as a huge chunk of trucks just hit pit road. Those are mostly lap down trucks, but what this means is that actually I was wrong. Jump is not going to be mired back in that much traffic. He is actually going to restart in the 7th position. So I take it back. He's not going to be stuck in traffic. Jump on fresh tires is going to restart in 7th. He'll only have 6 trucks to pass and about another 10 laps to do it. That could be game over for Jared Darling and the rest of the trucks that stayed out there.
The other truck that I would say that we maybe want to keep an eye on back there in the 6th position is Lewis Woodall. He only has 8 laps on his tires, so maybe not anything to battle for with Nathan Jump and the rest of the field on fresh tires, but he definitely still has a pretty good advantage over everybody in front of him as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think it's worth noting that the more cautions we get following this one, the more heat cycles that these tires are going to get, and the less that advantage of fresh tires is going to be. So if we go green to the end now, I think that Nathan Jump is probably the favorite to win along with anyone else that's on fresh tires. But 1 or 2 more cautions, and we could be looking at a much more even playing field, especially when you consider that really there's not going to be all that much time for these tires to get up to temperature, especially if we only have 2 lap runs.
Exactly, and the thing that I would be most concerned of as a driver, that top lane has struggled all night. The first person we really saw make it work was Tyrell Baker on older tires. So, does that mean that we're going to see another stack up here, or does that mean that we're going to get a good launch and we're going to have clean racing? If we see a stack up, I think that's where our biggest threat for a caution comes from.
Yeah, for one, I'm going to be watching the 41 of Nathan Jump. I think that he has the experience and the past success to navigate his way through these 6 trucks in front of him. I would look for him to be a contender to the end of this race. We'll have 11 laps to go. I think that's plenty of time for the fresh tires to come into play. But now I think it turns into a battle of racecraft. Who is able to navigate this more or less of a minefield of trucks in front of them and get to the front of the field? These guys are going to be bunched up on this restart. There's not going to be a lot of space to move, so it's going to come down to finding gaps and finding good places to put your truck. Jared Darling is going to lead the field back to green. His tires are 17 laps old, the oldest tires out of his top 5. Matt Daniels in the 45 truck, 22 laps on those Goodyear Eagles. Pace truck is going to pull off this time by and bring the field down pit road, bring himself down pit road, and leave the field in the hands of Jared Darling. Into the Geico restart zone, 11 laps to go. It's crunch time from Kansas. Green flag is back out.
And look at them already
The field
fanning out.
behind. Yeah, Nathan Jump looking to the inside of Daniels and Woodall. That should be easy work through 1 and 2. Daniels getting pushed from behind by the 26 of Lawson. Jump is up in a 5th.
We're spinning
around the 45 of Daniels in front of the field. Incredible job by the rest of the field not to get involved. Matt Daniels got turned out of turn number 2, but that truck remains completely unharmed.
Phenomenal driving by everybody in the field. Off of 2, he just kind of gets clipped in his, it looked like the left rear. And that truck just went sideways. Great job by everybody avoiding it. No major damage for anybody by the looks of it. And this is kind of exactly what we were just talking about. Cautions breed cautions, and now we're kind of in a situation where Jared Darling might be able to hold on for this.
Yeah, I had mentioned before that restart that Matt Daniels had the oldest tires out of the top 5, and I think we're seeing the repercussions of that now. The 7 of Hunter Madalinas just clipped him in the right rear and sent him around, but it wasn't really because Daniels had a lack of grip that he spun. It was because he was just so much slower than everyone on fresh tires that they just were swallowing him up with nowhere to go. So great job by the field to avoid him. That'll bring out, I believe, our 6th caution of the night. As Jared Darling, yeah, like you said, he is going to stay in the race lead, and now these tires have somewhat of a heat cycle on them, so that advantage for Nathan Jump might just be a little bit less than it was before.
Yeah, he made a great move there. Got up to the 5th spot. Pretty much had everybody clear. He was going to have a great run off of 2 down the back straightaway. I don't think it would have taken him more than a lap to probably get to the lead.
No, I don't think so. I think he would have made very quick work of the remaining drivers out at the front. But now you'll have to reset and try again.
Looks like we were pulling up a replay of the restart here so you can kind of see everybody stack up. I saw a little bit of the slow top lane again. We didn't really see a great launch on the top side. And just kind of everybody stacked up. And you can see again, old tires just right in front of the new tires. You just get swallowed alive. It's hold on for dear life and try not to hit anything.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, well, what's the word I'm looking for? That combination of old and new tires, I mean, that's where drivers' racecraft really gets tested. You know, you run into situations where if you don't know where to put your truck and you don't know how to position your truck, you're going to get stuck in a bad spot or you're going to get swallowed up by the field. Being on new tires is important, but you got to know what to do with those new tires. At this point of the race, it's not all about driving talent. It's about car positioning, it's about working the aero, and it's about putting yourself in a good position to win this race. So Jared Darling's still leading. I believe the lights are going to go out on the pace truck this time by... Yeah, oh, not quite. All right, so we're going to be under caution for 2 more laps here. Taking a look at your top 5, it is Jared Darling leading. He does now have the second oldest tires out of the top 5. Behind him is the 53 of Jared Duda, who's put together a very nice night so far. He's got 17 laps on his tires and has been hanging around the top 5 all night. Mike McConville, very up and down night for him. He got caught up in a wreck earlier, but now is sitting pretty in the 3rd position with the freshest tires out of the old tire bunch. He's got 15 laps on his tires. Matthew Weeks, one of the dominant drivers of tonight. Unfortunately, 22 laps on his tires is probably not going to be able to put up too much of a fight. Then you see the defending champion, the 41 of Nathan Jump, the first driver on fresh tires, looking to get back through the field.
Yeah, and he's not going to have a lot of laps to do it, but again, I don't know if it's going to be too many laps for these guys that are up front on these old tires, right? 5 laps is a lot to ask to hold on for. Hopefully, you've gotten the tires cooled off a little bit. You're still going to have some wear on them being 20 laps into a run if you're Jared Darling, but hopefully, though, you can make it survive a little bit. You can hang around on that top side and really make Nathan Jump work for it here in these last 5 laps.
Yeah, I think for sure the advantage is going to be a lot less than it was before for the fresh tire guys, but it's still going to be hard to hold them off. Jeff, I want to turn it over to you as our rules specialist to quickly go over the green-white checkered procedure for this league.
Well, quite simply, guys, it is 3 attempts at a green-white checkered. And in this case, I think it's just going to be the last truck standing if we get to that point. Much like normal NASCAR, once the white flag is out, the race is over. But if we get a caution sometime before lap 125 begins, we'll rack them up and we'll do it again up to 3 times.
So I think what's important to note there is that there's a possibility that this race ends under caution. And because of that, if Jared Darling can hold on enough times that he is in the lead at the time of that caution, then he could be able to win this race without necessarily having to hold off any old tire driver or new tire drivers. It kind of all depends on if we're able to get enough of a run in here for those fresh tire guys to have enough time to get to the front. It's possible that we keep wrecking into turn 1 until the checkered flag. I hope not, though. All right. Pace Truck is leading them once again through turns 3 and 4. This right here, a bit of a calm before the storm. Of note, Jared Darling is going to be restarting on the high side, and what I find interesting about that is that it's going to put both Terrell Baker and Nathan Jump on those fresh tires, stuck on the inside lane with the second place driver restarting in front. Here they come into the restart zone. We are back green at Kansas. And already here, oh, trouble, back in the field, the 92 of Senzi gets turned. Caution is out again.
Cautions,
that did not take long at all.
Cautions. We've said it before, and it's always a truth when you come oval racing. Cautions continue to breed cautions.
That is exactly what what Jared Darling wanted to see. Looks like it was the 98 truck who just didn't get a good restart, stacked up into the 92 of Senzi and Zach Henry with nowhere to go, and a big push from Spencer Owens, turned the 92. Matt Daniels got involved as well, and it was just kind of on from there.
Yeah.
Clarify, that was the 98 of Robin Durr. Looks like somebody forgot to put her in gear before the restart.
Yeah, that was a couple big hits there. Weren't even at full speed yet, so unfortunately for those guys, not the time you want to get some heavy hits like that. Hopefully they can get it back out there, salvage their night. But um, the other thing I think we need to maybe consider here, right? We're asking these guys if they continue to wreck, you're going to have to go through 3 green-white checkered attempts. Does anybody have to worry about fuel?
That's an interesting point. My instinct would be to say no. The longest stint here is 25 laps, so they've got just about 15 more to play with, so I can't imagine that it would be a concern. But that's assuming that everyone was able to get their truck to full fuel, which is not a guarantee.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is I look at Mike McConville. In his last pit stop, it was 12.6 in the box. So I'm not 100% sure if that is a full fuel. If we're just kind of filling it to barely get by. If we go 3 green, white checkers, might be interesting to watch.
Yeah, and I think another thing to consider is auto fuel. I think ever since that system got introduced into iRacing, there's been the classic mistake of leaving it on by accident and underfueling your truck or car, I guess rather, and not having enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. So it's possible that one of those drivers just messed up, didn't fuel their truck up all the way, and I don't know, let's say a full tank would have gotten you 5 laps past the end of the race. Well, now if you only have enough to make it to the end of the race, that's great if this race ends at 125, but those 5 laps could be crucial if we have only one overtime attempt. Now, I'm not sure if that'll be an issue, but it's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, for sure. It's also interesting to think about what's going through Jared Darling's head because he thought he was probably going to lose this lead, and cautions have saved him so far. So you got to think about how are you going to go into this green-white checkered? It looks like it might be a artificial green-white checkered. I don't know if we're going to actually have the
I believe we
one
are
of our
extending
three.
it. I believe we are. Because it's lap 123 right now. We have at least 2 laps to green, so we're going to have to extend this for the first time tonight.
Okay. So unfortunately, we'll use one of those sets, but Jared Darling's going to have a lot to think about as we roll around the track here. Get ready to go green.
Having been in this position before, I think the best thing that you can do at this point is kind of just control what you can. You know, you can't really control what happens to Nathan Jump, or you can't really control what kind of a restart he gets, but there's a couple of things you can do to help keep him behind. I like what he did on the last restart by taking the high line because it stuck. Generally, when the leader is in control of the restart, whatever line they're in gets a better restart than the line that they're not in. So last time by Jared Darling taking the high side, he was able to trap Nathan Jump and Terrell Baker in that slower line. And right now, those are the two drivers on fresh tires that I think he should be the most worried about. So I'd say do that again. The second thing that I'd say is get ready to mirror drive. It's not maybe the most ethical, but if Jared Darling can just block like hell for another lap and a half, then that might be all he needs to do to keep Nathan Jump and Terrell Baker behind him. It's not the most ideal strategy, and it'll take a lot of defensive driving, but I mean, at the end of the day, in order to pass someone, you need to find a way around them. And if Jared Darling can make that truck wide enough, that might be hard to do.
We've seen Jared Darling do that tonight too. When he made that pass for the lead, he made sure that he was clear and he got right up in front of everybody else. Made sure he was going to get into that position to have an opportunity to win this race. So I don't think there's any question he's going to be able to make that truck as wide as possible.
Definitely. I think he's going to need to be very aggressive here. He did exactly what I thought he should and take the outside lane, so that's a good start. The next thing he's got to do is just get ready to put together 2 really good laps and 2 really aggressive laps. We saw it last week at Daytona. Jared Darling definitely no stranger to aggressive blocking. I think that he's definitely capable of doing it, and as hard as it'll be to hold off a driver on 15-lap fresher tires, I think it can be done. There's only 2 laps to go now. It'll take a little bit for the tires to get up to heat anyways. I don't think it's as certain for Nathan Jump now as it was before. Pace truck is off. Field in the hands of Jared Darling, who will lead us back to green from the outside line. Into the Geico restart zone we go. Green flag is back out. We are overtime racing from Kansas. Great restart by Jared Darling. He'll cover off Jared Duda, and that is the first step towards him taking this victory as the field barrels down into turn number 1.
Make sure if you are watching, you are on the edge of your seat because this is about to be a very exciting race to the finish. We're already starting to see Nathan Jump go 3 wide. He's going to try to make his name known before the end of this night.
And he needed to make that move. He needs to get around the traffic as quickly as he can. He'll clear McConville. Can't quite clear the 53 of Duda. Looks like we're going to make it to the white. This race is official. Can Jared Darling hang on? He's got a hungry pack of fresh tires behind him. Into turn number one, jump to the bottom. Darling left the bottom open. That might have been a mistake. Darling gets tight, and Nathan Jump is going to take the race lead. They're stacking up all over the place out of turn number two. Jump has the lead. He'll defend the bottom. Can Darling do anything about it through 3 and 4? No, he can't. He'll get tight and fall to the back. Nathan Jump executes perfectly on the fresh tires. Welcome back, defending champion. Nathan Jump wins at Kansas as the field crashes behind.
A lot of wrecked cars here at the finish, but what a move by Nathan Jump. Got clear off of 2, made it out to those lead pack, and then just took advantage when Jared Darling left that bottom lane open. Hell of a finish by him.
Yeah, he did everything right on that last restart, and that goes to show why he is your defending champion. Great restart by Nathan Jump to pick up his first win of the season. Behind him, some chaos ensued out of turn number 3, and I'm sorry, turn number 4. It was Ashton Lawson, pretty much out of nowhere, able to come home in second. Jared Darling third, Hunter Madalinas fourth, and Jared Duda rounding out your top 5. But well done, Nathan Jump. He executed when it mattered the most, and he is going to go to victory lane and burn it down here at the Kansas Speedway. Man, I just got to wonder if you're Jared Darling. I'm just not entirely sure why he left the bottom open there through 1 and 2. I think his shot was to cover off that run from the 41, but he just left it open, and yeah, Nathan Jump went right by him.
That's kind of the tough part there, is that you gotta make that move, and unfortunately, it's a game of chance. Either you're in the right spot or you're not. So.
And hey, guess what? Joining us in the booth now is your race winner, Nathan Jump, as he burns it down to the front straightaway. Nathan, man, congratulations. Great drive by you. What was going through your mind on those last couple of restarts when you had the fresh tires and you were going to have to work your way through those trucks to get to the race lead?
Man, I was really focused on trying not to cause a wreck. It was close with me and TCB on one of those first late restarts there, and kind of cut him off a little bit. And man, then I had to kind of do it to Mike. And honestly, I don't even know what happened on that last restart, but I don't know, it worked out pretty good for me.
Yeah, for sure. You were able to slice your way through those trucks pretty effortlessly. I got to ask, how much of a tire advantage did you really have there after those couple of heat cycles with the cautions?
Oh, it still felt good. It still felt like 7/10 a lap or something like that. It was real strong. Honestly, when you guys watched Jared and Matthew and all them other boys pass us real easy earlier, it was just like that. It felt really nice.
I gotta ask
Yeah, and actually,
Nathan. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I gotta ask Nathan. We saw you make an incredible move early in the race. You baited, I believe, was that Matthew Weeks down pit road last second, coming back onto the track. Did you have that one planned out in your playbook there for a little bit, holding on to that for a while, or was that a spur of the moment?
Yeah, I was gonna do exactly opposite of what he did, and I knew if I pulled back a little too soon, he would pull off too. So I knew once he was close to that cone, I was hitting the grass. And it's a truck, it'll handle the grass, so no big deal there.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that one caution was sort of the decisive move of the race. I mean, you not pitting there was able to give you a set of tires for the end of the race and allowed you to charge up through the field and take the win. So I got to ask, how much strategy went into this race? Were you thinking in that moment that you were setting yourself up with an extra set of tires?
Yeah, we were definitely basically all the spectrum but Jared. We wanted to hold on to those tires, and we didn't know if it'd be like real crazy, and obviously it was. I mean, they passed us in like 6 laps. We thought it'd maybe take a little bit longer, but man, once that happened, when they passed us, we were all kind of bummed out, I can't lie. But when that final caution came, there was only one of us who was sad, and it was unfortunately Jared. But hey, I'm pretty sure he still got second or third, so there we go.
Yeah, I guess all's well that ends well. We're going to let you go in a second here, but before you go, I just got to ask if there's anybody that you want to give a shout out to or thank for tonight's win.
Uh, we'll do a little shout out to TCB. He could have raced me a little bit harder there at the end, I think, or gotten me a little loose or something like that. So I appreciate him kind of keeping it clean there. RJ Williams, Daniel Nanny, they always help me out finding speed. Spectrum as a whole, I'm really trying to get them to really lock in and try to practice this year. I think they can all go to the playoffs, honestly. Shout out Jacob Bell over in a different league, area shop. And yeah, shout out you guys, obviously. I don't know if you guys are going to be here every week, but I know majority of this league loves it when you guys broadcast for sure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And once again, congratulations on your win tonight.
Oh yeah, thanks, bro.
So that was your race winner, Nathan Jump, put on an incredible drive to get through the field on the fresher tires and was able to come away with the victory. Joining us now in the booth. Oh, well, I can hear myself through his audio, so that's nice. But joining us now in the booth, second place finisher, the number 26 of Ashton Lawson. Ashton, that race got wild at the end there, but you were able to squeeze through and score a very handy second place finish. Tell us about your experience in that race.
Oh man, it was a challenging one for sure. The bottom and the top were both good, but I mean, tires were a major difference maker. And with the split strategy late, it just jumbled up the whole field.
Yeah, definitely. We saw strategy come into play with a couple of drivers electing to come down pit road and a couple electing to stay out during that one decisive caution just in the middle of the race. I want to get your perspective on that because I'm always kind of curious about how drivers kind of self-crew chief in these races. When that caution came out, what gave you the decision to not come down pit road?
Well, just for me, it was either be on the offense at that point in the race or be on the offense if we got a caution late. And I've been on the defense so many times late and got burnt that way, so I decided I'm just going to do it to where if we get a caution, I can go as hard as I want and not have to defend. That was my mindset.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that we saw tonight as well was a lot of grooves being viable around this racetrack, the high line, the low line, the middle. How did you manage that, both in relation to making time, but also in relation to racing other drivers and finding ways to pass?
Well, I think it was just whether you wanted to be tight on the bottom or loose on the top, and somewhere in between in the middle. I mean, any lane was usable. It just depended on truly how you were driving the car and whether you wanted to burn the right front or the right rear.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, that's all very interesting. Ashton, congratulations on your second place finish. I want to ask before we let you go if there's anybody that you want to give a shout out to for tonight's performance.
I mean, let's give the Spectrum group. We finished 1, 2, 3 to finish that race. I think that's pretty good.
Very nice. All right, Ashton, we appreciate you talking to us. Congratulations on your second place finish. We'll see you around.
All right, have a good one.
And that was your second place finisher, Ashton Lawson. Finally, the third driver in the Spectrum 1-2-3, Jared Darling. Jared, it was heartbreak for you at the end of that race. You were so close to holding on those old tires. Unfortunately, it just got away from you at the end. Walk us through your perspective of those last couple of restarts.
Yeah, this one sucks, dude. We did it was such an up and down race. I mean, I got a penalty. I qualified terrible, drove to the front, got a penalty, went to the back, drove halfway through the field, and then we had like a weird caution midway through the race. And I just took a gamble and got tires again, used my third set, and then obviously just drove to the front again. And then, man, if it would have stayed green, I had it won. So seeing that caution come out with 15 to go really sucked. Then yeah, all those last restarts. I mean, I got really lucky with all the yellows that kept falling, and yeah, there was really not much I could do. My tires were just at such a disadvantage there. But to bring home third at least after what I really thought I was going to finish in the 20s when that yellow came out. So it really sucks though because the strategy I thought was going to work for once and thought I was going to get a win here tonight, but just wasn't meant to be, I guess. But at least the team got a 1-2-3, and Ashton gave me a hell of a shot down the back on the last lap that helped me get that third place. So I appreciate that, and just pretty sad about that one. I thought I had it tonight.
One of the things that you mentioned, but also Ashton and Nathan both mentioned, is the importance of kind of the team dynamic over at Spectrum. And I guess I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. How important is it to have teammates that are able to help you out in these races? Are you able to find speed with them, or how does that contribute to your racing?
Oh yeah, it for sure helps. I mean, we don't keep secrets, we try to help each other get better, and then in practice we're sitting there, what are you running here? What kind of settings are you doing here and stuff like that, and what line are you running? And we always try to help each other out to make everybody better. So it's a good team we got over there, and kind of proves here with our finish tonight. We always run well together, we communicate well, and that's really important. So yeah, again, cool to get a 1, 2, 3. Just being a little selfish. I wish I was the one in first, but I'm happy for Jump though. He was really fast all night and did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. A great result for the team. One more thing I wanted to ask you about is the comeback drive that you alluded to and that we noticed up here in the booth. I mean, going from the front to the back, especially after a race like Daytona last week where you showed a lot of speed and again weren't really able to get the finish to show for it. How are you able to stay resilient in those moments in order to keep fighting back?
You just have to. I mean, something like I said, the penalty. I'm like, ah, crap. Well, I'm 30th now, but I just put my head down and get back in the zone and just try to drive forward. Just kind of try to forget about it and just keep going. And did that today, and like I said, I tried something different, and I thought it was going to work out tonight, and it just didn't quite work out. But there's plenty of races coming up that I feel like I'll have speed at. And yeah, in practice and qualifying, I didn't feel as good as I thought I was going to be. But then once the race started, I got that bottom line working really well tonight, and it was just hooked up, and I was able to make a lot of passes tonight. So it was a really fun race, I thought. And yeah, I had a good time tonight.
Yeah, for sure. You showed a lot of speed out there, a lot of versatility in the different lines you were running, some great battling with other drivers. I'm sure there's plenty more we could talk about, but I think we
Yeah.
got to cut this a little bit short. Jared, congratulations on your third place finish. And before we let you go, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to or thank for tonight's race?
Yeah, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting. I can't wait to go back and watch. Yeah, you're talking about those battles. The battle that me and Jared and Matthew had there for the lead was so much fun there with like 30 to go, or whatever it was before the last pit stop. That was a blast. I was like smiling the whole time. It was so fun. But yeah, shout out to everybody that watches. Shout out to everybody that runs the league. Team Spectrum, great run tonight. Shout out to Eric. Kept as always for the amazing paint schemes. The Casey's machine, always looking good. And shout out to, again, people watching, and my buddies Josh and Elliot for watching tonight. And we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, for sure. Jared, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and congratulations on your third place finish. We'll be seeing you.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Thank you. And that was Jared Darling, your third place finisher tonight at Kansas. A great run for him. A great run for him last week at Daytona as well. I'd be looking out for him for the rest of the season. Well, I believe that is almost going to do it for our show, but before we sign off, we should go ahead and take a look at the finishing results, mostly because I forgot to do it last week. Taking a look at your top 10, Nathan Jump, the defending champion, pulls out his first win of the season. Ashton Lawson comes home in second. Jared Darling in third. Hunter Madalinas pulls out a surprise fourth place finish. Jared Duda rounds out your top 5 in fifth. Last week's winner, Terrell Baker, backs up his win with a strong run coming home in sixth. Cody Miller finishing up in 7th, Austin Moore in 8th. Elliot Henderson, unfortunate for him, he was running in the top 5 most of the night, able to come away still with a strong top 10 in 9th. And Matthew Weeks, disappointment for him, one of the dominant drivers of the night, only able to finish just inside the top 10.
And then we got Lewis Woodall there in 11th, Shane Neiswanger in 12th, Chris Heller in 13th, Tony Manji in 14th, Jackson Sims 15th, Will Barbagelletta in 16th, Mike McConville in 17th, Nicholas Corsell is in 18th, Spencer Owens 19th, and Dylan Poteet rounds out your top 20.
Then looking at your 21st through 30th place finishers, Gavin Fitzgerald, a resilient drive from him tonight, got taken out early on in the race, comes home still in 21st, a very solid top 25 effort by that number 14 truck. Michael Senzi faced a lot of adversity tonight, only able to come away in 22nd, unfortunate for the driver that started in 15th. Robin Durr comes home in 23rd, Zach Henry 24th, Matt Durr 25th, Aiden DuPont able to come away in 27th. For some reason on my ATVO timing, both him and Matt Daniels are shown in 27th place, which is interesting. Matthew Rodriguez comes home in 28th. Hunter Brittle, who looked like he was always in a battle with somebody, comes away in 29th. And Christian Peterson, despite starting on the pole, faced adversity early on pit road, was never able to come back. finishes in 30th.
And then finishing up the rest of the field here, we have Alex Fetter finishes 31st, Brent Kincott in 32nd, Eric Kepf in 33rd, Adam Zorn in 34th, Preston Henry in 35th, Aspen Martin in 36th, Sam Hoff 37th, Rod Fastnow in 38th, James Shiflett in 39th, and Jim Duda up battling towards the front early in this race, ends up going home 40th tonight.
We got 3 more finishes to go through at the end. These drivers all crashed out earlier on in the night. Blair Neabone comes home in 41st. Nick Hansen, after a hard hit into the outside wall, comes home in 42nd. And Kevin Watler, your last place finisher, unfortunate for him after starting in 16th, comes home 43rd. That is your full finishing results from Kansas tonight, and that is going to do it for the Great Lakes Truck Series race number 2 here at Kansas. Nathan Jump, your defending champion, takes home his first win on the season in an exciting overtime finish, dash to the finish line. And that is going to do it for tonight's show. Thank you all for joining us on Split Second Broadcasting. I have been Jonathan Oates, joined by Adam Bossy and Jeff Johnson, our producer and pit reporter. Thank you all for coming out tonight, but that's going to do it. You all have a good night. We'll see you next time.